Welcome back to NASCAR Report today. Before we get into today's story, if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. We're working hard to reach our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps us get there. Now, let's dive into one of the most fascinating storylines in NASCAR right now. Over the past 50-plus years of NASCAR history, only 2 drivers have ever fit the exact pattern that Shane Van Gisbergen is living through today. A driver who is absolutely untouchable on road courses, but who has struggled badly everywhere else. Both of those earlier drivers eventually managed to flip that weakness into a strength. Shane Van Gisbergen is now on track to become just the 3rd driver in the modern era to pull off that same turnaround. And here's the twist. The gap between his road course brilliance and his oval struggles started out wider than either of those 2 drivers before him. This transformation isn't happening by accident. It's happening at the exact moment NASCAR pulled away the one safety net that used to let him get by without ever really mastering ovals. Shane Van Gisbergen came into the Cup Series with a resume built entirely outside of stock cars. He won 3 Supercars championships back home in Australia before signing on with Trackhouse Racing. And he wasted no time making a statement, a win on the Chicago Street Course in 2023, in his very first Cup Series start. By his 2nd full season, National Motorsports Media had already crowned him NASCAR's road course king. Trackhouse doubled down on that bet too, locking him into a multi-year deal that ties the team's future closely to how much further he can grow as an all-around driver. For a long stretch, the arrangement between Van Gisbergen and NASCAR's championship system worked out perfectly for him. Under the old playoff format, a single win in any regular season race, no matter where you stood in points, punched your ticket to the postseason. In 2024, running a full Xfinity Series schedule, he qualified for the playoffs off the strength of 3 wins, every single one of them on a road or street course, and he entered as the 5th seed in a 12-driver field. Talking about the format that season, he was blunt about it, calling it, quote, "the most overcomplicated racing series I've been a part of." At the time, that comment came from a driver who honestly didn't need to fully understand the system, because his road course wins were carrying him regardless. Between 2023 and 2025, Van Gisbergen made 12 Cup Series starts on road and street courses. He won 6 of them, 6 out of 12. His average finish across those races was 7th. By NASCAR's adjusted points plus measure, where 100 represents the series average, his road course rating sat at 279, meaning his finishing quality ran a staggering 179% better than the average driver. Now flip to the other side of the ledger. Over that same stretch, away from road courses, across 38 starts, his average finish dropped all the way to 25th, and his adjusted points plus on those tracks came in at 48, 52% worse than average. 2 completely different drivers, sharing 1 car, and for 2 full seasons, only one of those 2 versions ever needed to show up. That safety net is gone now. In January of 2026, NASCAR announced it was returning to a points-based postseason model, often called the Chase, replacing the elimination-style playoff system that had been running since 2014. The change came out of a lengthy review process, shaped by input from a playoff committee that included team owners, drivers, manufacturers, and broadcast partners. 3 goals drove the redesign: a bigger sample size for crowning a champion, more weight on every single race, and a stronger reward for winning across that larger body of work. The push for change picked up steam after serious criticism of the 2025 season finale, when Kyle Larson won the Cup Series title over Denny Hamlin without leading a single lap in the final race, even though Hamlin led 208 of the 319 laps that day, and Larson came into the finale on a 25-race winless streak. Similar storylines played out in NASCAR's other 2 national series that same weekend. A Truck Series title decided by a 7-wide scramble in overtime, and an Xfinity Series champion crowned with just 2 wins on the season over a rival who had 10. All of it added fuel to the fire. Under the new format, 16 drivers make the postseason based purely on regular season points. There's no automatic spot anymore for a race winner sitting outside that group. Winning still matters, and it actually pays more now, 55 points instead of 40, but a win no longer guarantees you anything beyond those points on the board. Once the regular season wraps, the 16-driver field gets reseeded, with the points leader getting a 25-point cushion over second place and everyone else spaced out accordingly. Whoever holds the most points after 10 additional chase races becomes champion. No elimination rounds, no shortcuts. For Shane van Gisbergen, that changes everything in practical terms. Every single race weekend now carries real championship stakes, and the vast majority of NASCAR's schedule is run on ovals, not the road and street courses that made his name. His Trackhouse teammate Ross Chastain is fighting the same battle from further back in points, sitting 18th and 47 points below the cutoff line heading into Richmond, which means the whole team has a stake in how well Van Gisbergen figures out ovals. And the results through 2026 show real progress, building well before it became obvious in the finishing positions. At the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte in late May, he finished 11th, but he actually ranked 7th in the field for raw speed and 6th for defense, with an average running position of 7.81. Just days later at Nashville Superspeedway, that underlying pace turned into a result, a 5th place finish, a career best on an oval at that point. He talked about it afterward, saying the improvement was coming from learning something new every single race. On July 20th at North Wilkesboro, he matched that career-best 5th place finish, this time on a short track, and led 4 separate times for a combined 49 laps. A new personal record on a traditional oval, blowing past his previous best of just 12 laps set earlier in the year at Nashville. Then came mid-August, arguably his biggest weekend yet. At Richmond Raceway, driving the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet, he won the pole for the Craftsman Truck Series race with a lap of 23.168 seconds, his first career pole on any oval, and his 13th career NASCAR pole overall. That result put him in the company of Daniel Suarez and Marcos Ambrose as the only foreign-born drivers ever to win a pole in each of NASCAR's 3 national series. He went on to finish 4th in that truck race despite a mid-race pit road penalty. The next day, in the Cup Series race at Richmond, he started outside the top 30 and finished 14th, matching his Richmond result from a year earlier. But this time, the finish actually carried real weight in the standings. Crew chief Stephen Doran called for him to stay out on older tires during a wave around at the start of the final stage, a gamble that put him inside the top 15, and a caution that fell right after a round of green flag pit stops locked that gain into place. That move stretched his points cushion over 17th place Ryan Preece from 47 up to 50 points, even as Austin Cindric's best run of the season at Richmond pushed Van Gisbergen right onto the postseason bubble. Cindric now sits 7 points ahead of him, and Bubba Wallace sits 20 points clear. 2 races remain in the regular season, New Hampshire and Daytona, before the 16-driver chase field locks in for good. To really understand how big this shift is, you have to zoom out and look at NASCAR's full history. Among drivers whose careers began after 1972, only 2 others ever carried a road course record as dominant as his, paired with a non-road record as weak as his, and then managed to flip that weak side around within a comparable stretch of races. The first was Jerry Nadeau, who posted a 116 adjusted points plus across 5 road course starts back in 2000, against just a 35 rating in 81 non-road starts, before jumping to a 128 rating over his next 20 non-road races. The second was Robbie Gordon, who ran a 166 rating over 7 road starts in 2001 against a 33 rating in 54 non-road starts, before rating 91 over his next 20 non-road races. Van Gisbergen's road course number, that 279, blows both of theirs out of the water. And over his own last 20 non-road races, he's now put up a 96 rating, officially making him the 3rd driver in this 50-year window to complete that kind of turnaround. And remember, nobody in that group started with a wider gap between their 2 sides than he did. Van Gisbergen addressed all of this directly during his media session at Richmond in August 2026. Asked how the new championship format had changed his own racing, he called it probably a good thing for the sport overall, and said, quote, "I certainly knew I had to get better at ovals." Asked whether his mindset shifts from race to race, he gave a careful answer. "I don't think my mindset has changed every race," he said, before adding that in a few recent races, "I'm points racing a little bit." But he was quick to separate that from driving cautiously. "I don't think I've ever really point raced trying to stay out of trouble," he explained. "When you're not driving naturally, you find yourself in trouble." His stated approach, in his own words, is still to just go out and drive every race flat out. Talking about closing the gap with his teammate, he said, "I feel like I'm a lot closer to Ross this year." And just 2 days earlier, discussing the pressure of sitting right on the postseason bubble, he described the final stretch of the regular season as carrying a lot of pressure, adding plainly, "We can't afford to have another bad race." Crew chief Stephen Doran credited part of the improvement to extra laps logged in Truck Series competition, saying that track time helped him a ton. Van Gisbergen echoed that himself, saying the gains are coming from just time, just getting used to things, and pointing out that these trucks are actually pretty similar to a cup car. His teammate Ross Chastain, a 5-time oval winner himself, chalked it up to experience rather than any change in raw talent, saying Van Gisbergen simply didn't get to do a lot of oval racing earlier in his career, and that at his core, he's a racer who puts the tire right at the limit. Coverage of his 2026 season has really split into two camps. One side sees his oval improvement as proof that NASCAR's new format is doing exactly what it was designed to do, pushing a driver who might otherwise have leaned on one specialty to build a complete, well-rounded skill set across every kind of track. As of mid-July, before the Richmond weekend, a chase qualification forecast from analyst Neil Payne gave Van Gisbergen better than a 90% chance of making the 16-driver field, with Austin Cindric the only bubble driver whose own odds sat below that mark at the time. The other camp raises a different concern, that a driver whose whole value came from unmatched aggression on road courses might be trading away part of that identity in exchange for small, hard-earned gains on tracks where he's still finishing below the series average. Both sides are looking at the exact same numbers. His road course performance hasn't slipped at all in 2026. And his non-road numbers, by every measure tracked this season, have climbed from historically poor toward the low end of average, without quite crossing into it yet. Two outcomes are still on the table before the chase field locks in. If he keeps improving on ovals while holding on to his road course dominance, Shane Van Gisbergen could end up being one of the hardest drivers in the entire field to predict once the 10-race chase kicks off at Darlington over Labor Day weekend. A driver who can genuinely contend anywhere on the schedule, not just on a handful of tracks, but a slide back toward the average, forgettable non-road results that defined his first 2 Cup seasons would leave him scrapping for a transfer spot he no longer controls, in a system that no longer gives him a single big win to fall back on. 2 races remain on the regular season calendar: New Hampshire Motor Speedway and Daytona International Speedway. Heading into them, Van Gisbergen holds a 50-point cushion over 17th place Ryan Preece, sits 7 points behind Austin Cindric, and trails Bubba Wallace by 20. For Trackhouse Racing, a team that committed to him with a multi-year extension built around exactly this kind of growth, these next 2 race weekends carry stakes that go well beyond one driver's playoff spot. Whether that 96 rating he's built over his last 20 non-road starts turns out to be a finished transformation, or a still fragile one, is going to be decided on those 2 tracks, not in any discussion of them today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please consider subscribing to NASCAR Report today. We're aiming to hit 1,000 subscribers, and your support makes a real difference. See you in the next one.